guys, today I'm going to do a review of One of Us is Lying by Karen N. McManus. I'm still getting over a cold a little bit that I caught when I got back from holiday, but I had an amazing time on holiday. I enjoyed Amy's Roads vlog so much. It made me really wish that I vlogged my holiday, but it was so sweet to see her have so much fun with Lewis, and I actually saw her yesterday, which was really nice because it was the first time in 6 weeks, so hello Amy. And yeah, we had a great time. So sorry we didn't vlog any of our reuniting, but we had a really good weekend together. And I've now started my full-time job. I'm a junior marketing assistant with a company called Cloud Call that's based in Leicester. So that's been going really well. I've had 1 week so far. I'm really excited to get into my second week tomorrow and get going a little bit with what I'll actually be doing day in, day out. But it does mean filming's got a little bit more difficult because I thought I could film this a few days ago after work, and I just can't. I leave the house at 6, I get back at 6:30. By the time I've had dinner it's getting dark, so yes, I've now got to make sure I book film a little bit at the weekends. But speaking of my holiday, the main book I read on holiday was this book, One of Us is Lying by Karen N. McManus, because it's been really hyped at the minute, and with the autumn coming around I've been in the mood for mysteries and thrillers and that sort of thing, and this one's had a lot of hype recently because it's YA, and we haven't really had something like this for a while that's taken off since maybe We Were Liars. So yeah, I was really excited to get into it. So the basic premise of this story is it's been marketed as a breakfast club but with a murder, and I don't think that's quite right because the detention actually only lasts the first 20 pages and the rest of it is the span of a month or two since the murder takes place. So I think Breakfast Club is a little bit misleading because it makes you think that the whole book is the detention, which isn't really. But yeah, you have a group of 5 people who have all been put into detention kind of under mysterious circumstances. They've all had phones found in their bags by this teacher that really hates mobile phones, but none of the phones he confiscated were their phones, so it's they were planted to all be put in the detention. And then the boy who dies is called Simon, and he drinks a cup of water and then he falls to the floor and has an allergic reaction because he's allergic to peanuts, and he dies. But then everyone thinks that peanut oil was put into the cup of water. It wasn't an accident that he died on that day. So yeah, it's split between the 4 perspectives of the geek, jock, criminal and princess. And at first this was a little bit confusing, I must admit. The first maybe 50 pages I found it really hard to tell who was talking, partly because they're 4 brand new characters, so it does take a while to get used to everyone, but also I don't think the writing style gave much variation between their voice. Apart from contextually what they were up to in terms of what they were saying, where they were going, at times you couldn't really tell who was who with certain lines, and you have to remind yourself, but I did definitely get over that within the first 100 pages or so. I really loved all these characters. They were all really well fleshed out, and I think that was definitely the biggest pro to the book for me, was how much I loved all the characters. They're all very complex and have lots of different layers, and they've all been put into the detention for a reason, in terms of they've all got a secret and they all sort of slowly come out, so that's really interesting. It gives them a lot of development for each character. I think my favourite was probably the criminal character Nate. I found him really complex and very charming and I liked him a lot. I think my least favourite was probably the jock character, Cooper, just because, I don't know, I just didn't enjoy his chapters as much as others, but he still also had a really good storyline. The characters were a definite pro to this story. It was a lot of it just felt like a really good YA book in terms of what went on and the character development and the conversations. I really rooted for lots of different people and I cared about everyone, including minor characters, which doesn't really happen normally, especially when there was a lot of characters in this book. So for me to care and feel like I knew each character quite well was really impressive, especially as this book isn't hugely long. It's only 340 pages, so it did character development really well. In terms of the mystery side of it, I did really enjoy it. It was really fast paced, new evidence kept getting unveiled, which meant you're always on your toes. But I am a little bit disappointed because I did guess who did it. I don't know if that's because the writing was bad. I know other people have reviewed it and said that they had no idea and it was a huge surprise at the end of the book, but I personally figured it out around halfway through. I won't say why because I don't want to spoil it for anyone who does want to read it, but yeah, I did actually figure it out. But even right up until the proper reveal, I still wasn't 100% sure. I still kept thinking, oh, it could be this person, it could be this person. So I did keep flitting around who I thought it was. But then in the end, when it was revealed, it did feel anticlimactic, partly because I did already guess who it was, but also because the way it was unveiled wasn't written in a particularly exciting way. It was oh okay, it was just, the reveal wasn't as climactic as it could have been, I don't think. It wasn't really tense and exciting, but it did have a really, really good ending. This book did get tense and exciting after the reveal, so it wasn't all bad. But yeah, I would definitely recommend this book to anyone that enjoys, well, really anyone that enjoys like YA stories, but also anyone that is into kind of all these like murder mystery TV programs, things like that, because this would make a really, really good TV program. It feels like reading a TV series because the way the characters are done and the way how you get random bits of evidence which makes you switch who you think it is. It's just like a TV program with like the finale of each episode being like, oh my god, this new piece of evidence, and the way all the characters sort of like get to know each other and blend together is really good. And yeah, this would just make a really, really good TV show, and it's probably now one of the books I would most like to see as a TV show, although the problem with that is they'd then try and make a second series, and I don't think that would work that well. But yes, I really, really enjoyed this book. My main problems with it were that I guessed who did it, and I do think that's a little bit because of clumsy writing. I think there was just something that made it kind of obvious. I don't know, just my opinion. I know on Goodreads, when I looked at other people's reviews, people were either like me, or like, oh, I guessed it because of this thing, or people were really, really surprised. So I think it depends on the reader. I do think the writing is a bit clumsy. There is things like not knowing who was speaking at first, and there was just moments which weren't quite written as well as they could have. But I'm excited to see what else this author does, because overall I really, really enjoyed this book, and the way she wrote characters I was really, really impressed with. So I'm interested to see what else she writes, particularly if she writes like high school setting books again, because I think she really, really nailed it, because even though it did use a lot of tropes, it did subvert them all in interesting ways, and every character had deep layers. And yes, it's a really, really good holiday book as well, because it was really fast paced and fun, and I love the sprayed edges. I think that's all I can say on this book for now without going into too many details, but I gave this book 4 stars because like I said, I was impressed with it, but I also really wish that the unveiling at the end had been a surprise, because I think that's always the goal with mysteries, isn't it? You don't want to know who it is. Like, you really want to try and figure it out, but you also really want to be surprised and have all the pieces fit together at the end. So when you're kind of fitting them together as you go, it's a little bit of a letdown, but I would still recommend this book to everyone. I know it's got a lot of hype at the minute, and I personally think it's 10 times better than We Were Liars. That was a really disappointing book, I thought, and I think this is a lot better, and it addresses quite a lot of interesting issues. I think it's got quite good representation. It could be a little bit more diverse, but overall it had quite a lot of diversity in it that is kind of, you don't expect, or it talks about different issues, so I think that's really, really good. Let me know down below if you have any more questions on this book, and like DM me on Twitter if you want to talk about spoilery parts of it, because I didn't really want to put that in this video, because I'd hate for someone to see that and then have it spoiled for them. But yeah, this is just a quick review because I really enjoyed this, and I know it's had a lot of hype of people hauling this book, and I haven't seen many people review it or talk about actually reading it, so I wanted to get in on that. Let me know down below if you've read this book, or if you're thinking about it and what you thought and what you're excited for with it. Also, let me know any other books that are similar to this, because I'm currently reading Night Film by Marisha Pessl, because I was on kind of like a murder mystery hype, but that one's really big and very time consuming, because I wouldn't mind a few more like YA mysteries that are actually really good. So if you've got any recommendations, let me know down below, and I'll see you on the next video, guys. Bye!